Behind the Shades.
Even advocating for myself, I personally am a people pleaser, have always been a people pleaser. So really dislike confrontation. And I always thought of advocating for myself or somebody else as I'm trying to start an argument with someone. And it's learning and realizing that no, advocating, just means making sure that you're voicing what you think is right. Um, and if somebody disagrees, it doesn't mean that a disagreement is bad. It means that's an opportunity to learn a new perspective and understanding how to be curious with an argument is really a very beneficial thing with adv advocacy. And so learning things like that, learning how to ask for help, like I said before, is I'm very good at asking for help now compared to previously. Um, and I would also say, you talked about when your parents were sick and that you then had kind of realized about um, uh, kind of what to be grateful for in life. And for sure, like I have really changed the way that I live every single day and focus a lot on gratitude. Because it helps someone really shift their mind. I wake up every single morning and write down three very specific things that I'm grateful for every morning. And it's easy to find three things that you're grateful for. And when you start doing that, you start looking for things that you're grateful for in throughout your day. So it really changes how you approach life.
That's a beautiful way to put it because there's some people that they find that it's easier to be negative about themselves than it is to find something that they're grateful for. So they may say something along the lines, Maureen, I've had a terrible day. My boss is a monster of a man. And this woman, she just continues to nag and nag and nag and nag and nag. But when we do the exercise and we ask ourselves, okay, say three things that you're grateful for, or better yet, take it a step further. Give me three things that you are happy with about yourself, right? And then it's like, okay, let me think about this. Let me put pen to pad. Let me put my thoughts onto paper. And you begin to understand that it takes more thought. It takes more understanding to be grateful, as you mentioned, to be positive, as you mentioned. And when you're helping people to understand this, and you mentioned a beautiful thing when you shared the four C's, and we touched on that in the green room
Yeah.
in our very exclusive and VIP conversation, I may add. So take us through the four C's and how that will help people in their life when you talk about the consciousness, the curiosity, the commitment, and the courage.
Yeah, so the this is what I teach is kind of the foundation of being resilient. And, being resilient really means that you're able to kind of overcome these challenges and figure out how to make them a gift. And so the very first thing anytime we're faced with a challenge is to really get in touch with your consciousness, meaning your brain constantly has thoughts that it is spewing out to you throughout the day. And you can choose to believe those thoughts or choose not to believe those thoughts. But you have to start being aware of them. So, for example, when my daughter was diagnosed with diabetes, all the thoughts that were running through my head was, this can't be happening again. Why Kylie, my daughter? She's already been through enough. I don't want her to die. And all of these thoughts that run through your head end up creating emotions. And so those emotions, you can imagine from the thoughts that I just spewed out, aren't warm and fuzzy emotions. They're stressful. And so before you can change how you're feeling, you really need to be aware of what your brain is thinking. So consciousness is the very first thing. Curiosity is the next. So understanding, well, why am I thinking that thought? Like the example that you gave about like my boss is a moron, right? It's realizing your brain is thinking that and then getting really curious about it. Like, why do I think he's a moron? And I always teach folks, you need to keep asking that question, why? Um, for example, we just said, why is my boss a moron? Well, my boss got mad at me for missing a deadline. Okay, why did you miss a deadline? Well, I miss a deadline because I don't love the project that I'm working on. Why don't you love the project? So keep asking that question, why, because it'll really get to kind of the root of a thought that your brain is continuing to think, that is forcing you to have certain emotions and actions in life. The next thing, though, is once you figure out those thoughts, it's then committing to what a thought is that is going to serve you. Meaning, it's the realization that the thought of my boss is a moron it doesn't help you. Like, it makes the workday really long. So it's committing to saying, okay, if my brain says my boss is a moron, then I'm committing to not believing that. And I'm going to find something that I appreciate about my boss in that moment. And so it's really the commitment to pick thoughts that are serving you. And then the final one is courage, which anytime you're trying to change something, whether it be changing a diet or changing an exercise routine, it's committing to it, but then it's having the courage to really stick with it and being, going above and beyond so that that it's going to make your life better. And it's the same way when we're practicing resilience and really becoming aware of what our brain is telling us and how we're going to be changing those thoughts to become more strong in dealing with challenges.